The goji berry. What a wonderful plant it is. Not only are they delicious, they're nutritious. They contain a bunch of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, they're high in antioxidants, and have a myriad of health benefits associated with them. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips that I've learned over the years on ways to grow goji berries that are going to help you to have the most success growing these right at home in your own backyard. Goji berries grow very well and are best suited for USDA climate zones 5 through 9. Here's what their little flowers look like before they fruit. Then they start to fruit these green berries, which eventually turn into these plump, delicious red berries. So the first tip I want to share with you is to choose a dedicated location. The goji berries have a tendency to send out runners and they can spread a bit. Now I don't find this to be any sort of a problem when you're dealing with a managed garden, but you want to keep that in mind. Even though it's easy to pull out those runners, you don't necessarily want to be disturbing the roots of other plants that may be growing nearby. That's why I've chosen to grow the goji berries surrounding my chicken coop area. I find it to work excellent, providing a living fence around the coop, helping to keep the birds inside. Isn't that right, ladies? Here's an example of one of the goji berry runners that came up on its own. It's growing about 4 feet or so from this plant over here. This actually popped up in an appropriate place. I'm glad to have it, but I've pulled out several of these around these plantings as well. Tip number 2 is to plant your gojis in full sun. Now they'll do okay in part sun, but if you really want to get a bigger berry harvest, you're going to want to put them in full sun if you can. The third tip is to plant your goji berry plants out in a well-draining soil. If you're starting off with a poor draining soil, I'd recommend starting off with about a 3-foot radius hole, digging that up, and then adding in some compost. This is going to really help with drainage for the plant. Without proper drainage, the goji berries are just not going to produce for you like you want to see. The fourth tip is to heavily mulch around your goji berry plants. Now, once your plants get about a foot tall or so, you can go ahead and put that mulch and build it up. I like to use wood chips because this is the free local resource I have available to me, but you could use straw, you could use leaves, you can use grass clippings, whatever you got. Build up a nice mulch around the base of your plants. This is going to help to conserve water. It's also going to keep those roots from drying out and keep everything nice and moist. And even though the goji berries are drought tolerant as well as cold hardy, you're still going to want to get a mulch on there. They just seem to do a whole lot better with the mulch. My 5th tip is to prune your goji berries, especially if you're looking for high berry production. Now the way that you prune these is you remove some of the lateral growth coming off of the main stalk. You want to leave at least 5 or 6 lateral growth. This is where the berries are going to start to form. You're also going to want to thin out these bushes and take out some of the main branches so there's some spacing. Now you're probably looking at my planting and going, doesn't look like you did much pruning there, Dan. Well, you're right, and that's because I'm growing this as a multi-purpose plant, not just for berry production, but as a living fence that helps to make up part of the chicken coop. Now with that being said, I still will be doing some pruning on these trees. You can see how dense all that growth is down there. You could easily prune out about 5 or 6 of these main stalks here. So choose your dedicated growth wisely, and you can also top these plants off at your desired height. If you just let it go, these can grow upwards of 13 feet tall, so keep that in mind. You also want to prune out any of the dead branches that may develop on these plants. So just a quick recap on how to prune these goji berries is to thin out some of the main growth coming from the base of the plant, topping the plant at your desired height level, thinning out some of the lateral growth. You want to leave at least 5 or 6 of this side growth on the plant to produce your berry clusters, and remove any deadwood that may develop. My 6th tip is to use a trellis when growing the goji berries. Otherwise they'll just kind of topple over and spread out really dramatically. Now I tried several different ways to train these plants, and I've grown particularly fond of using these 4-foot wired fences. You can pick these up at your local hardware store, and these are really easy to install. About every 4 feet or so I have these 5-foot T-posts helping to secure the fence. You could use bamboo stakes, hog panels, so whatever you got on hand or whatever's going to look good in your design. And my 7th and final tip for growing goji berries at home is to use these plant clips or plant ties to secure your plant to the trellis. If you look closely here, you can see I've got a few different types of clips and plant tie tape holding these plants to the trellis. These are really great because they're landscape colored, they blend right in, you hardly notice it. And this just helps keep everything nice and tidy and held in place. So all you got to do is come up and harvest. Well, that about wraps up today's video on growing goji berries at home. If you found today's video helpful or entertaining in any way, I'd sure appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. With new videos uploaded every week, there's always something new to share. And real quick before I go, I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody who went over to my other channel, Plant-Based Eats, and gave a like to that video that I posted yesterday and subscribed. Really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If you happen to miss my video, my announcement yesterday, where I told you that I started another YouTube channel, I'll put a link below this video so you can go check that out. I'm going to be uploading another plant-based recipe tonight. You're not going to want to miss it. And so until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Hoping you all have a great rest of your night. I'll be talking to you again real soon. Take care.